Deal or no deal, a day of back and forth with your money on the line. We go to Capitol Hill to find out if your next paycheck will take a hit.
A double homicide starts the new year in Elizabeth City. I'm Karen Hopkins. This bizarre story coming up.
Wet weather in place and cold air coming rushing in. What does that mean for the morning commute? Details on what you can expect as you head to work and the kids head back to school.
Plus new laws in effect today here and in North Carolina. The news starts now.
13 News begins with breaking news.
And that breaking news from Washington, D.C. tonight as you take a look at a live picture from the Capitol as the U.S. House of Representatives takes up the Senate's Fiscal Cliff bill. The House is voting right now, that vote just wrapping up. As we take a picture, a live look inside the House right now, we can tell you that that final vote number is 245 as we see it now, for and 164 against, with 16 Democrats voting against the bill. One of those Democrats, Congressman Bobby Scott, and 82 Republicans voting for that agreement. A deal tonight will go a long way of court towards smoothing the markets before tomorrow's opening, but many also say it sets up more fights down the road over spending cuts. The House has been battling back and forth all day, and tonight we did hear from one local lawmaker. Again, Congressman Bobby Scott tweeted tonight that he was voting no on the deal. He says it does nothing to deal with America's debt. We have not heard how others voted. The situation is still fluid, but as ABC News reporter Karen Travers gives us some background on the battle that's led us to this point.
After the Senate's late-night fiscal cliff drama, now it's time for the House to have its say. Tonight, the Republican-controlled House will hold a straight up or down vote, no changes to what the Senate already passed. There was a lot of hand-wringing among Republican lawmakers today. An aide to House Speaker John Boehner described it as universal concern about a lack of spending cuts. Early this morning, the Senate passed with overwhelming bipartisan support a fiscal cliff deal that would extend tax cuts for all workers earning less than $400,000 a year, prevent a tax hike on estates valued at less than $5 million, and extend unemployment benefits for some 2 million people that were set to expire today. Since Congress missed the midnight deadline last night, technically the country's already gone over the fiscal cliff. The Bush tax cuts expired, so everybody's tax rates have gone up. But if the compromise bill can pass the House, they can retroactively prevent those tax hikes. Earlier today, there was grumbling from House members of both parties.
This agreement represents absolutely the least we could have done under these circumstances.
It fails to address the mortal threat facing our country, uncontrolled spending.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
All right, once again, that vote, a final as we believe it to be right now, 257 for, 167 against. House Speaker John Boehner voting yes, Eric Cantor voting no. And those are the final numbers as we know them right now as you take a look at a live picture of the vote there in the House just having wrapped up. Well, the Senate bill was passed around 2 this morning, but before tonight's action in the House, we heard from Virginia Beach's Scott Ridgell, a Republican, about that bill, addressing what many predicted would be the sticking point in the House, government spending.
I'm a Republican who's been making the case that revenues must rise. That bill does that, and if it becomes law, it provides some certainty to our tax code, which would surely help our economy. Yet, Mr. Speaker, we also know with certainty that it fails to address the mortal threat facing our country, uncontrolled spending. It fails to reflect the balanced approach that was advocated by our president. So we find ourselves again with a bill that reflects not financial wisdom, but the seductive spirit that pervades this town. The time to confront our spending addiction is not now, it's later, they say. We'll do the right thing then.
All right, our coverage of this very important vote continues on Nightline at 11:35. And with 13 News Washington reporters, no other station in Hampton Roads has reporters in the Capitol. Dave Cassidy will join us for 13 News Daybreak starting at 4:30 a.m. And Sue Turner will be with us for 13 News starting at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Another big story tonight, your weather. The kids go back to school tomorrow, and with the rain tonight, we want to know what to expect at the bus stop. Evan, will it be a wet morning?
It will be for some folks, but that rain will start to taper off as we head through the later morning hours. Now, we have a network of cameras around the region. Usually we'll show you one or two. I'm going to show you all 4 of them that we can have access to right now. Nauticus here in downtown Norfolk at the top left-hand corner. Our tower cam looking over towards the downtown Portsmouth area here in the top right. Virginia Beach Town Center, you're picking up that rain. That's there in the bottom left-hand corner. And our traffic network of cameras, you can see there in Newport News some wet roadways, and that's mainly what we will see, wet roadways. As we take a look at live high-definition radar around the region, we are dealing with that rain, light at times even moderate rain back here across eastern Virginia Beach down through Gates County. You have to head all the way back up towards Charlottesville before you run into any kind of mixed precipitation. That rainfall has been moving back in here over the past several hours, and we will likely be dealing with some of that rain tomorrow morning. Here's Futurecast to let you know what to expect at midnight. Still everybody with temperatures above freezing, so we will be dealing with rain overnight and even tomorrow morning. If you get up early, 4:30, still some rain across North Carolina. Notice temperatures fall across parts of Virginia, up around Richmond and West Point, but by then that rain is moving out. 7 a.m., still a few showers around, and that's what we'll call for as the kids head to the bus stop tomorrow morning. A few showers scattered around, but temperatures in the lower 40s, so everything that is falling should be in the form of rain. There is sunshine in that extended forecast. Details on that, the 7-day outlook coming up in just a few minutes. David?
All right, Evan, thanks so much. A startling case in Elizabeth City tonight. It started as a murder investigation, but led to the discovery of a second body. 13 News was the first to tell you about this case with reporter Karen Hopkins on the scene along Shepherd Street today. Tonight, she was able to learn more about what police found.
Here in Elizabeth City, police found 2 men dead in this neighborhood on the very first day of 2013.
Well, it's not a good way to bring in the year, but I'll keep my faith, and with God, I can get through this.
Jennifer Flores never imagined she'd come home from her New Year's party to this crime scene.
And we talked to the neighbor, and he said that somebody had gotten shot.
Police say one man was shot on Shepherd Street just after 2 in the morning. He was taken to the hospital where he died. Then later that afternoon, police found a second body in Flores' backyard.
You see the body here.
Miguel Flores says his brother saw a man lying in the grass here before he left for work. At first, he didn't think there was a problem.
He said, pero he think the people sleep. Or last night, maybe it's drunk beer.
Police say both men were shot multiple times. Detectives believe the murders are connected and they have a person of interest in custody. We're also told the victims were young men in their 20s. Flores says she's keeping their families in her thoughts.
Praying that it'll be okay and everything will get better and be calm again, because I've never seen this stuff happen in Elizabeth City.
Elizabeth City police tell me in 2012 they had 2 murders total. So far, 2013 has already met that mark on the very first day. In Elizabeth City, Karen Hopkins, 13 News.
To Suffolk now, in the first homicide in Hampton Roads of the new year, police found Carlton Holland Jr. shot on Linden Avenue early this morning. He died at the hospital. It appears to have started at a New Year's Eve party. His father told us what he heard from detectives.
Him and some guy had some words at a party. The argument was done, was over with, but when he gets outside, he gets shot multiple times in the chest.
Suffolk police say so far they have no suspect in the shooting. Anyone with information should call the crime line. To Chesapeake, where neighbors say someone was opening fire in their neighborhood along Berkeley Avenue. In fact, officers say when they got there, they saw James Watkins shooting his gun into the air. One witness tells us there was a massive response from police.
Next thing you know, bang, 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 bang. So I turned on my police scanner on my phone, and pretty much they said they were over there off Berkeley. So me being nosy, I come outside and I see them running down the street down here. And next thing you know, 17 cops pull up, you know.
Officers tell us Watkins went inside a house as they arrived, but they were able to find him. He's charged with reckless handling of a firearm and discharging a firearm in public. No one was hurt. The new year brings new laws, including a new rule in Hampton barring pet tethering. Pet owners will have to put up fences, keep their pets inside, or use some other method of keeping their pets under control. We heard from folks on both sides of this issue today.
A lot of customers are not real happy with it just because they've done it forever and they've done it the right way, providing shelter and food and water for the animals, and they don't see a problem with it.
We're all dead set against it. You know, dogs should be part of the family. They should be living in the home. You know, it's fine to have a yard and go out and play with them, but they shouldn't be tethered.
Anyone breaking Hampton's tethering law could be charged with a Class 4 misdemeanor and face a $250 fine. And there are new laws in North Carolina that took effect today, including a requirement that expands background checks for daycare workers. It also bans anyone with a sex or child abuse conviction from working in a daycare. Another law requiring large employers to use the federal government's E-Verify system to keep them from hiring illegal immigrants. But at least one official worries it will be hard to implement.
Whenever you start these E-Verify machines, then who's going to do all the paperwork? Who's going to, make sure everything's in order?
Other new laws include harsh penalties for stealing used restaurant grease. That kind of grease is often sold to recyclers. Much more still to come tonight, including a theft in North Carolina of more than 100 meteorites, and they're not cheap. And what a way to start the new year. A local couple says "I do" in front of the entire nation.
And I am tracking that rain on live high-definition radar. I'll let you know how long it'll stick around and talk about some chilly temperatures set to move in Wednesday.